All right, I'm ready to start working on the rear skins for the center section of the wing. I went and cut the rough pieces out yesterday out of a 4 by 12 foot sheet of 16,000 6061. I've got the fuselage upside down because I didn't figure there's any way I'd be able to put those in, with it right side up, do the bottoms. Especially since they wrap around that rear spar. So what I've done so far is I took one of the sheets, got one edge nice and square, put it in the bender here, which I know you can do this without a bender, but boy, a bender makes it really nice. Put a 3/4 inch bend here where it lays on top of the spar, and then the plans call out the dimensions for here and put that in there. Just use a caliper to measure from the bend line up to here on the other bend, and then bent that up, just pretty much eyeballed it. Took 2 tries to get it where I liked it as far as fitting on the back of the ribs. So let me show you how it goes in there. Oh, and it was mentioned that I needed to do the landing gear before I started putting the skins on. But I got to looking at the plans. The landing gear has a plate mounted partway up the strut, and it bolts in this section here on the lower spar. And then the top has a bolt that goes in right here, which I'll need to take that rivet out. But I didn't see any reason, because that bolts on from the outside, and everything is supposed to be accessible, with the whole plane skinned up. So, going through the holes here to get to all the bolts. So I figured I'd go ahead and skin it. There's a notch or a hole in the nose skin where the strut goes through, but still, I think I can put the skins on. Certainly not rivet them down yet, but at least get them cut and fitted before I worry about the landing gear. So I have the back of the ribs loose, so I can slide this in between. Slide it up like that. Put a couple of spring clamps on it. As you can see here, it's a nice tight fit on the spar. Well, when you go inside, looking at it here, once everything is pulled tight, it's a nice fit on the back, nice fit around where it comes to the bottom of the ribs. So the bend there, everything looks good there. What I need to do now is trim this to where this whole sheet will slide in toward the fuselage, because it goes up against here, and then it says to rivet it to the bottom of the fuselage, the edge of that. So I'll bring that forward, get that fit. And I left plenty of overhang out here to do that. And once that's fit up against the fuselage where it needs to, as far in as it needs to go, then I can drill through the holes here for the ribs, fasten them up, and we should be able to go ahead and start drilling more holes with the jig, and then drilling more holes through the spar, and then match drilling through the skin and clecoing it all together. But first, I've got to get that slid in to the bottom of the fuselage. All right, I notched it out right here, and that brought the whole panel in. See how much closer we are to the end there? Now, to make this fit along here, because of the little bulge in the fuselage, we need to come from that front edge and make a curved cut along here. Now, I'll make a shallow one because it's easier to cut more off than put it back on. But this needs to set down to where it can actually get down to the ribs and lay more smoothly on the fuselage. Now I've got it trimmed back pretty good. I'm liking it. Got it brought in to where everything's about right here. And even with the front, I think this section is real good as far as, because you want a rivet line along there going in the fuselage 1 inch apart. The problem is right here where it kind of changes direction over that hump. I think I'm going to drill and V-notch that a little bit so this can fold down a little more and give it a little lip. Then I can get this section flat against the fuselage to drill and rivet in there. But other than that, I'm liking it. Right now, I'm going to hold it tight up against the spar, and I'm going to drill my rivet holes for the ribs. And I'll go ahead and get Clecos in there and then take a look and see what it looks like that way. That worked good. Got all those in line. That is a nice tight fit around the spar. Freaked myself out because I was drilling through and fastening it to the ribs, and I had one rib that was really short. Well, they had all slid this way, so I was trying to hook the wrong rib up. So get them in line. They all fit just perfect. Down under here. Nice tight fit there. So I think next, we've got the one rivet. There's supposed to be 3 total up on the back here. So I'll take these rivets out, take the lower panel over, use a square, and mark 2 more on each one, and then I'll mark the center line of the tab on the back of the rib so I can put it back on and then drill through the ribs in each spot. Get those centered on the tabs and Clecoed on. That way the ribs will be vertical on the back. This up here, when it's laying against the rib there, that all lays down good. Just needs a little bit of relief right here to get this to lay down smooth. So that should work out good too. Got the center of the back of the ribs marked. Got the extra holes over here marked and drilled. So now put this back on and do some more drilling. Okay, all the extra holes are drilled in the bag. Everything's still lining up good. Made a relief notch right there. That helps everything lay down a lot better. So right now I'm gonna pull the sheet toward the front, mark it along here because it's got quite a bit of overhang, and we'll trim that back to the front edge of the spar, and then we can start marking the holes up here and running the lines back to the back. So we've got a line to drill through the skin where it'll be mounted, where it'll be matched up to the bottom of the ribs. Start in the middle, start in the back in the middle, and start working my way up to smooth everything out as it goes. Okay, now that I've got it fastened down with the one row down the middle, I'm going to mark the ends where all the ribs are down on the far end. Do the same thing there, draw the line, get all the holes drilled in the panel, and we'll drill them all into the ribs. Get all that Cleco down, see what it looks like. Okay, the way I'm marking this is I've already got this set of holes drilled, because that was the center one. I came in 1 inch and then 3-inch spacing the rest of the way up. So I drew the vertical lines there and then marked this side at 3-inch intervals. Doing the same over here, and then use the straight edge to match up the ends, and it lines up with the one I've already got, and then mark the other line. So should be nice and straight and even once it's done. Okay, all the rib holes are drilled in this panel, and after checking the plans again, I remembered you are supposed to, in this section right here, this is the end rib that's got the doubler and tripler on it. In that section there, you want to decrease your spacing down to 1.5 inches from 3. So get a little extra reinforcement there, and that goes for the top and the bottom panel. We got the racing stripes on all the ribs, so I can put it back together and go back to drilling. Just watch, make sure your line's lined up in your hole. It's really easy to drill through the ribs too because they're on an angle, they're nice and stiff. So not hard to drill at all. Just keep everything lined up. All right, they are all drilled. And I am really happy with the way that came out. I mean, every one of these I've seen flying, they oil can a little bit, which I don't know that there's anything you can do about that. That is one advantage of the Mini-Max with the fabric, because you heat shrink it, so it's nice and drum tight. But this was as tight as I could get it. This area up here is going to work fine. Push that down a little bit, put just a little bend there, and that will rivet down. That along there will rivet down just perfect as is. I'll do that at a later time because I want to make sure everything is square before I completely tie that into the fuselage there. Because right now, there is still, you can still wiggle the wing a little bit. The more stuff you put on it, the more rigid it's going to get. So it's got to be, you know, you got to keep it straight. So right now, I think I'm going to end this video here because the next thing I'm going to do is build this bottom panel for the other side. So it'll be just the exact same setup just over there. Of course, there's still, I've got to drill a bunch of holes along here and here. But that's just drilling. But yeah, it looks pretty good. As soon as I get the other side on there, then I'll flip it back over and make sure everything is square and true, and then start on the top skins, which should be a lot easier. These bottom skins were really what was bothering me, since they've got the double bend there, and you just got to have it exactly right to get it on there. I mean, the top one just kind of lays over it. Drilling the ribs was easy, so the top should be fairly straightforward. Of course, I put clecos in every hole that I drilled, but that's just to keep everything flat and solid as I'm working on it. Now that it's all on there and in position, when I take it back off to deburr and put it back on to put other stuff on, I won't put as many clecos. But that's all I've got for now. Next video will pick up after I've got the other side on there. All right, thanks for watching. Catch you on the next one.